What is guilt? Is it that one thing you wish you hadn't said? The damning silence after the porcelain shards have spread on the floor beneath your feet? Those tears in your mother's eyes? Is it that churning in your stomach, the one that almost seems to drill into you when you sleep? That pressure on your chest that never seems to leave and makes breathing so difficult? The looping question of whether you could even have changed anything? What is worse? Feeling guilty for what you had to do, for when you did everything right, or knowing that you deserve this burning sensation in your chest more than anything else, because you chose the wrong thing. Forgetting about your crime or being well aware of every little detail that keeps running in your head. Losing your emotions to cope or regaining them and feeling every of your sins heavy on your back until you break. Guilt is a concept most people can define somehow, and yet so many questions remain. What is guilt? How is it meant to be handled? Most of all, do you deserve forgiveness? Or do you deserve to rot in the pits of hell carved by your misdeeds? Please heed the content warnings. Both games and this video in general deal with graphic content, though in a pixel art RPG Maker style, and disturbing themes. Most importantly, extreme negativity, depression, and suicide. Welcome to White Space. You have been living here for as long as you can remember. Welcome back, dreamer. It seems you have returned. Everyone has been waiting for you. So much happened since yesterday. Come, sit. You will stay longer today, I see. That is just fine. We have all the time in the world until you are ready to see everyone. Do you not wish to face them so soon? I understand. Sometimes it's better to just stay here, where it's quiet and peaceful. If no one can see you, they cannot judge you either, can they? Don't fret. You can always stay as long as you wish to. I would never ask you to leave. You know that, don't you? Good. In that case, would you like me to tell you a story to pass the time? There's one I would like to talk about today. It is a story about friendship, dreams, and adventures. That sounds fun, doesn't it? Then let me start. This story is about friendships, dreams, and adventures. And of course, about guilt. Omori is an RPG Maker horror game created by Omori and their team. It came out in 2020 after a long wait, 6 years after its Kickstarter campaign. I presume most of you are familiar with this game. Omori became a breakthrough hit as soon as it released. How could it not with its beautiful dreamy art style, the Grammy-worthy music, the lovable characters and the heart-wrenching storytelling? Most players and also critics will sing your praises about this game, and I am frankly the same. Omori is one of my favorite games of all times, and I am sure that I will never be able to forget every minute of this experience. This is also why I will advise you to play the game yourself, at least if you read the content warnings and still wish to proceed. This story is absolutely best experienced going into it blindly. I cannot stress how much impact this game has if you go into it without knowing a single thing enough. You will laugh, you will cry, then you will cry some more, but you will smile even as your heart is being ripped out. Omori is a game that depicts the feelings of coming of age, friendship, and loss better than any other medium I have ever experienced. Every topic it tackles, it handles masterfully. It will make you feel with the characters, pray for their future, wish for their happiness. And without putting everything into words, you will understand just how heavy the regret is that looms over our beloved group more with every minute of this game. Please keep the content warnings in mind, as we proceed and look deeper into the story of Omori and its depiction of guilt. Everything is going to be okay. A young boy attempts to console another who cries next to him. No matter what happens, promise me that we'll always be there for each other. We appear in white space, a monochrome world with only a few items. A blanket, on it a laptop, a sketchbook, and a box of tissues to wipe away your sorrows. Also a cat, a white door, and a solid black light bulb. Our main character, Omori, a young boy who's just as monochrome as the world around him, has been here yesterday and the day prior. We do not even know how long it has been. This boy has been living here ever since he can remember. Upon finding a knife to arm himself, the door opens and makes way for Omori to enter Headspace, a world full of pastel colors and fascinating creatures. We meet our friends. Aubrey, a headstrong but cheerful girl who loves stuffed toys and keeps arguing with Kel, a hyperactive and easygoing boy who doesn't take things too seriously. Hiro, Kel's older brother, is the peacekeeper and acts very mature for his age. Omori doesn't say a single thing in return. He doesn't seem to speak, but no one seems to mind. The group leaves the playroom through a giant tree stump and reaches a playground. Here, among the many colorful, vaguely human characters, we also meet the rest of the group on a picnic blanket. Mari is Omori's older sister, a caring girl who encourages the entire group and loves feeding them all kinds of delicious food. She also seems to have a small romance going with Hiro. Basil is a soft boy with a flower crown who loves taking pictures of his friends and flowers. He favors taking his pictures whenever the person is distracted, and so has managed to fill a beautiful album of photos of this group. We learn that, like every day, our group prepares for an adventure. Merely Mari stays behind to prepare more picnics. Basil offers to show the others the flowers he planted near his home, but before we can leave, we are roped into playing a game of hide and seek. At the end, only Basil is missing. We search for him a bit more, only to find him being kidnapped by Boss. To free him, we engage in our very first boss fight. It goes well enough at first, but then Boss defeats our entire group with a single attack. Well, everyone but Omori, because Omori did not succumb. He has the ability to survive deadly attacks with 1 HP and gives us one more chance to defeat Boss. And so, we emerge victorious and get Basil back. Moving on with our journey, the group leaves the playground and follows the long path towards Basil's house. The path is lined with flowers Basil planted, with each kind reminding him of one of his friends. Sunflowers represent him, his desire to look into the bright future. Lilies of the valley remind him of Mari, as they are known to ward off evil spirits and protect you. Roses, being perfect and versatile, represent Hiro. The gladiolus, representing strength and being true to your heart, resembles Aubrey. The resilient cactus resembles Kel. And Omori is compared to white tulips. Plain, simple, and simply cute. Our group reaches the clearing with Basil's house. He takes the opportunity to take another surprise picture. Everyone attempts to look at it. Aubrey and Kel get into a scuffle and they knock over Basil. Hiro admonishes them and everyone quickly picks up the photos again. In Basil's home, they attempt to return the pictures in the correct order. It seems to work, but suddenly Basil finds a photo he doesn't remember taking. And yet, it seems familiar. No, that can't be. Mari, she's... Omori is thrown back into white space, the pounding heartbeat echoing through the suddenly threatening space. The door, our sole way out, has disappeared. Omori is trapped. Or is he? If you open the menu after some confused searching, you will see that we still have the ability to stab. Stab who? Omori aims the blade at himself and collapses on the floor. We see a scene of Basil and Omori sitting in front of many photos. Some turned sad, we are told. But we should be happy that these memories happened in the first place. As everything fades to black, we are given the option to name the sleeping boy in front of us. It seems Omori wasn't his name at all, or he wasn't Omori. It's not clear yet. The game suggests the name Sunny, which seems to be the canon one, so we will use this one. Sunny wakes up in his bed. There is no purple sky, no white endless plains, No murderous bunnies here. This is the real world. The message on the phone explains that Sunny's mother, preparing for their move to the city in 3 days, has left him alone until then. Sunny doesn't seem to handle it well. At the top of the stairs he hesitates and even attempts to sleep again, but the hunger eventually pushes him to go downstairs. The stairs warp and melt before our eyes, going on for longer than they should. Black tendrils rise from the bottom and a dozen hands reach for Sunny. And one catches up. Sunny has to find whatever this thing is. Something. None of his attacks do anything though. Something taunts him as he falls. But a voice reaches through the darkness and tells Sunny to calm down. The monster disappears. Sunny has returned to his house, to the bottom of the stairs that now seem to be the correct height again. Sunny attempts to get some food, but he only finds a steak knife and a single steak. He uses the microwave to heat it up and eats, but doesn't take it well and has to throw up. The knocking from the front door startles him. Being unsure who to expect, we are surprised as Mari's voice sounds through the door. She forgot her keys and wants to be let in. Of course, we open the door for our big sister. Sunny slams the door shut, but a hellish creature stands behind him in the mirror. He goes to bed. The dark room is replaced by bright light as we return to white space. It feels much more peaceful here than in the real world, but something changed. Our laptop is now showing keys. Letters we have to put together. A hangman game. Once we find all the keys needed, we will find out whatever this game wants to tell us. If we choose too many wrong ones though, well... We quickly progress to Headspace. Our friends have waited for us already. It seems Basil has gone missing since last time, so we visit his house. He isn't here either. And so, our adventurous quest to explore Headspace and find Basil starts. We come through vast forest first. We mostly defeat some wretched bunnies, and trees, and sprout molds. Highly intelligent creatures that turn aggressive when they get lost. We also find a lot of amusing creatures, like this bunny hating a leaf, this singing dog, and this hot dog. But no Basil. And so, we have to venture further. To climb the giant ladder up to Otherworld, we first have to overcome Omori's fear of heights. After Mari and his friends reassure him, he finally manages to do so. Otherworld is a camping site in space, featuring space bunnies, wormholes, unidentified flying oranges, lots of recycling, and space pirates. The pirates are horribly bored because their captain, aka Space Boyfriend, formerly known as Captain Spaceboy, is lovesick. To help him out of his isolation, we go to search through a junkyard and find his beloved mixtape. On the way we defeat Planet Earth and help a rogue planet named Pluto hide from the pirates and also meet Life Jam Guy, who will wipe your party out cleanly in one hit. But it's all worth it because we found a mixtape of Space Boyfriend's beloved girlfriend, Sweetheart, who we find out broke up with him at the last moment. Playing the mixtape only fuels Space ex-boyfriend with anger, making him attack in a frenzied rage. It's okay though, because his boss theme is a banger and we manage to beat his depression out of him with some force. He apologizes, but unfortunately knows nothing about Basil. Just when we assume that this might have been a waste of time, the field we walked through earlier seems to have changed. It's darker now, filled with old memories of happier times. At the barn. An old broken down family photo hangs on the wall. Above it, a light bulb. Or a news. It's unclear. Something appears and gives chase. In white space, we have no choice but to stab Omori to leave. We are reminded that we only have 3 days left. Sunny wakes up back in the real world, this time during the day. Once more, knocking sounds, and by the door, Kel speaks to us, asking for one more chance to talk before Sunny moves away. Once again, this forces Sunny to make a choice. Does he want to open the door? If you choose to do so, we come face to face with Kel. A much older Kel, this time with brown hair and eyes in a less purple hue. Kel is happy to see us, but also more than surprised. Sunny hasn't opened the door in 4 years, and also hasn't been outside since then, so this is the first time the friends are reunited. Kel takes the opportunity to explore the town with Sunny. We get to visit the park, talk to some normal and some weird people, do some chores for Kel's mom, and finish random tasks to make the town feel happy. In contrast to Headspace, it all seems fairly boring, but peaceful. At least until a blonde boy argues with someone named Kimberly, asking for help to return something belonging to him. It's Basil. As Kel interacts, Kim's friends, known as the Hooligans, appear, including a pink-haired girl named Aubrey. It seems not only Kel grew older. In contrast to him, Aubrey isn't so happy to see us. Upon noticing Sunny, she scoffs and mocks him for having hidden away for years. Her friends keep pushing Basil around. She doesn't stop them and just tells Kel and Sunny to stay out of it. So, it comes to a fight. Kel attacks, Aubrey attacks. It ends up being a harmless brawl between teenagers. Until Sunny attacks and draws blood. Aubrey collapses as he stabs her with that steak knife he picked up last night. He doesn't hurt her severely, luckily, but it does show how distant he has become to real life if he believes that it's okay to attack someone with a knife. The hooligans run off, leaving Kel and Sunny alone with Basil. Basil isn't as happy to see us as expected either. He smiles, but seems very tense and merely wants to go home. We agree to bring him there, which is when Basil confesses that Aubrey stole his photo album. Tasked with returning it, Kel and Sunny start searching for Aubrey. We interrogate her friends. Most of them are not very useful and force us to fight them before admitting to anything. We eventually find out that Aubrey is at church though. Sunny makes the glorious decision to interrupt the sermon and follow Aubrey inside instead of waiting for like half an hour. Aubrey is rightfully upset that, after not talking for 4 years, Kel suddenly barges in and tries to tell her what to do. Kel is also right to criticize the treatment of Basil, whom she has been bullying for a while though. He tries to remind her that they are still friends. To Aubrey, that is a thing of the past though. Things and people change. She was left alone for years, so how could Kel suddenly show up and pretend like nothing happened? Kel says that Mari would be sad to hear such a thing, and Aubrey gives a bitter smile. Who cares what Mari thinks? She's dead. By now, it might have been a vague assumption, but this is the first time we actually get the bitter confirmation. 4 years ago, Mari died, and it seems this tore the friend group apart. Sunny stayed in his house ever since then. Kel didn't speak to anyone. Aubrey had to find new friends and has become Basil's bully, but that might only be part of the reason he's a nervous wreck now. Aubrey claims that Basil is lying, but she does have his photo album. Kel demands it back, and Aubrey only becomes more upset, especially when he apologizes but still stops her as she attempts to leave. Right in the middle of the church, during the sermon, another fight breaks out. The score is anxiety-inducing. Whispers of the believers bleed into the argument. Delinquents in the place of worship, how could they? Her clothes are so unfitting for church. This girl is a threat to this neighborhood. There is no hope for sinners like her. Ever since her father left, she's so uncontrollable, disrespectful. I feel bad for her mother. Aubrey starts shaking. Then she storms off, tears pooling in her eyes. We go to follow her, but first, there's something else we have to do. In the graveyard behind the church, we can visit Mari's grave. The sun shined brighter when she was here is engraved on her gravestone. A white egret orchid sits next to it. It symbolizes the phrase, "My thoughts will follow you into your dreams." Here, Kel finally talks about the loss and the grief they all went through. He remembers that Hero was depressed for an entire year, didn't eat or leave his room after Mari's death. After that, when Kel came to console him one night, Hero snapped and broke down completely, yelling at him until their parents came. He only realized what was happening when his parents consoled him and fully ignored Kel. Ever since then, Hero did his best to bounce back and focus on college. But after all this time, everyone still grieves for Mari. As we return to the street, we see Aubrey throw away the photo album in front of her house, but Kel pulls it out of the garbage bin. They bring the album to Basil and have the chance to go through it, finally showing us the real-world photos our friends took all those years ago. Polly, Basil's caretaker, invites us to stay for dinner. Basil seems tense and grows more uneasy when Sunny looks at him, yet he confesses that his grandmother is doing so well. and gives Sunny his photo album. During dinner, he finds out that Sunny is leaving the town and runs to the bathroom. Sunny follows him, only to find Basil having a panic attack as he tells himself everything is going to be okay, everything is going to be okay. Black tendrils surround him. Basil sees them too. A glance in the mirror shows that something is behind us. Sunny runs in a panic, even as Basil begs for him to stay. Kel brings him home, promising to come back tomorrow as well, and Sunny enters his house. Everything is dark and overrun with wiggly spiders. We have to get a knife to cut through their webs to reach the stairs, where a door we haven't seen before appears, along with a black, tangly mess at the bottom of the impossibly long stairs. Sunny begins the torturous climb. Spider legs reach for him. He tries, but he can't outrun them. The more often he shakes and tenses, the slower he becomes. At the top, he sees Mari for a second, then collapses, and something throws itself at him. Something resembles a spider with a giant eye this time. Once more, Sunny can't attack but must calm down. And again, a formless voice guides him through this. It teaches him how to focus. Using this skill ends the fight. Sunny is back at his normal home and can go to bed. A shadow looms over him as he tries to sleep, and we are, once again, back in white space. For the first time, we see something behind Sunny, his shadow, take on life on its own. We play as Omori again, venturing out into headspace. Our friends waited for us once more. Aubrey especially is eager to cling to Omori today, almost like memories of the real day bleed over and make Sunny long for their lost friendship. And then we see her, Mari. For the first time we see her knowing that she is already dead. She still storms over to Omori to hug him tightly. Omori doesn't reply. Everyone discusses how to find Basil. They decide to visit Firefly Forest, a forest overrun with spiders, so Omori must once more face his greatest fears. On the way, we meet some lost sprout moles and pick up their front row show tickets. We pass through the dark forest and see a giant pink castle emerge from the trees. We have to fight our way through first, of course, and face a centipede made out of the dead bodies of sprout moles. Oh. We get revenge for our fallen brethren and reach Sprout Mole Village. Here we see a suspiciously high percentage of pink and find out that all sprout moles are obsessed with exactly two things: tofu and sweetheart. Wait, isn't that Captain Spaceboy's ex? Oh, don't worry, we'll meet her in a moment. Because the show tickets we got were for a show called Sweetheart's Quest for Hearts, a dating show meant to find Sweetheart's one true love. The three contestants are a Sprout Mole, and Snaily, who immediately dies when lightning strikes and a power outage follows. We find the outlet and fix the issue so the show can go on. A contestant is missing now, so Hero is forced to take part. Sweetheart appears and immediately proves that she's the most beautiful, the most pink, the most lady of this entire world. She acts like a princess and expects utter devotion from everyone. She sends away all contestants to the dungeons immediately, aside from Hero, whom she feels drawn to. Hero makes the mistake of rejecting her, so Sweetheart snaps and throws our group into the dungeon too. Though the door wasn't locked, so we can simply leave. After fighting our way through the dungeons, the 4 palace wings, and the gardens, it's a very big area, we return to Sweetheart's show. It seems Sweetheart has found a perfect suitor after all. Therefore, this last episode will show her wedding to herself. Because no one is good enough for Sweetheart aside from Sweetheart herself. Unfortunately, Aubrey feels so bad that she interrupts. Sweetheart finally has enough of us and starts a boss fight. Her theme song is undoubtedly another banger. No, seriously, go listen to this. Of course, we win after taking a break to headbop to this beat. Only for Captain Spaceboy to arrive and immediately propose to Sweetheart. She accepts and they kiss. Luckily it's censored, and leave the castle as husband and wife, flying off in his spaceship. In the process, they tear open the floor, allowing us to jump into the dark pits of our headspace. Omori's friends fade away, leaving him alone in the lost library. Memories of his days with his friends are stored here. Memories of happier days, when Mari was still here. Flashes of Basil appear before our eyes, along with a photo. A key is taped to its backside. Don't forget, it's in the toy box. Omori is thrown back to white space, with only one way out. 2 days left. In the real world, Cal's at the door to pick us up. We visit our old hangout spot by the lake after screams come from it. Sunny and Cal arrive just in time to see the hooligans bullying Basil. They claim they're just trying to make Basil leave their secret hangout spot, but that, in fact, is exactly what bullies do. Aubrey gets mad when Cal and Sunny get involved and a fight breaks out. One you can struggle to win or simply skip by using pepper spray. As the hooligans cough and leave in frustration, only Aubrey stays behind. She cries again, asking why Sunny and Cal are suddenly here when they weren't for 4 years. Basil attempts to calm Aubrey down, but in a fit of anger, she lashes out and pushes him. Basil falls into the lake, and Basil can't swim. Sunny is scared of drowning, but he still jumps in after him. As he dives into the water, it becomes pitch black. Then we see the stairs again, the endless dark stairs of Sunny's home. And Mari, or at least a monochrome version of her. She guides us down the stairs, staying ever slightly out of reach but stopping whenever Sunny falls behind. And then, something appears. The familiar voice teaches Sunny to persist, and the scene brightens. Sunny floats in a lake, unmoving. A hand grabs his. Mari dives into the water, her pure white dress draped around her like she's an angel, her long black hair floating around her head. Sunny opens his eyes. Hero smiles at him. It seems our reliable hero came just in time to save Sunny and Basil. He carries Basil home, ignoring Aubrey as she calls for them to wait. We bring Basil to Polly, who puts him into a warm bed. Basil mutters, thinking that there is no way out of this, is there, Sunny? We have no choice but to leave him for now. So, Hero spends the rest of the day with Cal and Sunny. They run through town together and then look at the photo album. Hero notes that all of the pictures of Mari are missing. Aubrey might have kept them. It's obvious that he is still deeply hurt, but he tries to ignore that for now, smiling for Sunny and Cal. The brothers decide to stay over, given that they haven't seen Sunny for so long. They set up a pillow fort for the night. Sunny goes to bed after them. He immediately ends up in white space. We see Omori, a separate entity, taking over and entering the headspace. Our friends aren't here to greet us today. No one is. The playground is completely empty. Omori can only walk up the one path we haven't visited yet. And we see Mari, who beams at him and offers to search with him. He's scared of the water, but she reminds him to steady his heartbeat, to calm down, focus, and persist. And Omori overcomes his fear of water. In the center of the sea, a labyrinth-like pathway stretches. Mari is quiet for some time. Then she tells Sunny how proud she is of him. But there is something he has forgotten. Something important. Mari stops at the giant curtains in the water. This is her stop, she says. She misses her brother, she says. Not Omori, Sunny. And for a second, she loses that purple hue of headspace. She's completely black and white, just like we are. Goodbye, Sunny. With that, she disappears. Omori falls down a dark well into the depths of the ocean. To Last Resort. A fitting name given that his dream world seems to be collapsing but forcefully keeps itself upright. Mari has returned to a picnic blanket like nothing happened, but it doesn't feel the same. Omori finds his friends, who have all found jobs in this sleazy hotel. We have to fight our way out now. Once against the boss of this hotel, and then against Pluto, the fucking planet. Somehow, we win. I'm not even gonna lie, the Kel nuke saved my ass here. As the group leaves, it becomes clear that they are starting to forget Basil. Upon trying to describe and draw his appearance, they all draw blanks. Still, they do their best. Following the underwater highway, we run into Sweetheart, who apparently has broken off things with Captain Spaceboy already. Yikes, it's been a single day. She's now searching for some sea witches to make a perfect suitor for her. We follow her to those witches who are hiding in Humphrey, a giant whale at the depths of the ocean. Our friends forget more and more, while our world actively reminds Omori that he is merely dreaming and not facing the horrible truth he has tried to hide for so long. A black light bulb, the repression of an idea. To be in white space means to be nothing, in a home without warmth. It's a place to survive, but not to live. And one day, we will have to leave. To break that bulb hiding what Omori, no, Sunny, hates so much. We enter Humphrey's stomach. Each of the 3 sea witches has their own laboratory. Within each of them, we find a reminder of basil, a photo, a basil plant, and lastly, his flower crown. Our friends don't remember the photo album. The name basil doesn't ring a bell with them, and Kel kicks the damaged flower crown away like it means nothing. They all have forgotten basil, but we haven't. After finishing each section, we are shown that Sweetheart commissioned the witches to make a different version of herself, but she rejected all results, even the perfect one. Now the sea witches demand payment, and Sweetheart, their lovely little, says that we will pay for all expenses, and runs off. The sea witches attack. As soon as we win this fight, however, Humphrey becomes hungry. He swallows everything in him, forcing us to fight yet again. And after we are spared out, Omori finds the last keys needed to complete the Hangman game. Welcome to Black Space. A glaring hole opens up below Basil's old house. No one remembers that name or that location. Even Mari just calls it abandoned. But we know what it means. And so, even though Sunny doesn't want to face this, we go right in. He has done this numerous times. He has come so close to the truth and rejected it again, found it, and then hidden it away as well as he could, just to be able to stay in this dream, to keep having his friends, to have Mari by his side. But this time is different. Basil's flowers have rotted. Even though we watered them every day, they couldn't be saved. With no choice left, Omori jumps into the pitch black. We are on a stage. In front of us, Mari is in her coffin, laid out on white flowers. Mari warps into that hellish version of her with a crooked neck as she jumps at us, but nothing happens. A black door appears, and we arrive in black space. A realm almost identical to white space, just without the light bulb. Black has flooded everything, leaving only countless doors. Behind each is a warped version of Headspace, or Sunny's most deepest thoughts. This world becomes even more direct, reminding him that he sealed away Basil on purpose because Basil is connected to this horrible truth. Omori has to gather all the keys to be able to proceed and face the truth. Even so, he fights it. Every time he finds Basil in black space, Basil dies or disappears, as if to keep him from telling Omori the truth. He's eaten by spiders, crushed like a watermelon, and loses his head. And yet, he returns. The final door leads Omori to a church on a snowy mountain. Basil awaits again. And this time, before he can speak, Omori himself stabs him. He then takes a seat on a throne made out of hands, the red ones we have seen all throughout the game. It seems they obey him, because we are not Omori. Omori is not Sunny. Omori is only here for one thing: to prevent the truth from ever being revealed. In the real world, Sunny snaps awake at the sound of a piano. He follows it to the room he refused to enter before. There, at Mari's old piano, he finds a monochrome version of his sister playing the waltz she loved so much. She admits that Sunny must have come to hate it because she pushed him to practice it so much. She asks him to play it with her one more time. Before he can, Hiro barges in. He heard the piano as well, strangely enough. He admits he misses Mari just as much and wonders why. Why she chose to leave them the way she did. And with this small seed of horror planted, the puzzle pieces come together. Hiro attempts to be brave and smile, but we can see him cry at the piano. A piano with the word Omori etched into it. The morning arrives quickly, without a break in white space this time. Kim arrives during breakfast, asking for help because Aubrey has refused to see any of her friends today. So Sunny, Kel, and Hiro walk over to Aubrey's house. In a phenomenal example of wordless storytelling, they let themselves into the completely trashed house. Garbage is strewn across the damaged floors. Aubrey's mother sits amidst empty flasks and stares at the TV, not even reacting to the people entering her home. Aubrey's room, in contrast, is spotless. She isn't happy to see the group, but Hiro says he's worried about her. And as she and Kel argue, he chimes in to break it up. He promises they are still friends and should make up. They find the missing pictures of Mari on Aubrey's wall and return them to the photo album. Aubrey seems a bit glad as Kel confesses he saved it from the garbage, and we get the chance to look through everything again. The memories well up and make Aubrey softer again. She apologizes, and Kel does too. The group spends the day together. They visit Mari's grave and have a picnic there. Each of them is suffering even now, 4 years after her death. But at least they are together and can give each other some support. But the old man at the graveyard says the spirits are howling. Tonight, someone will be grieving, he says. The group also visits Sunny's house to see the treehouse they all built together one last time. This is the first time we see the garden. A single tree has been chopped down. This is where Mari... Kel doesn't finish the sentence, but he doesn't have to. They all say that they will never know why Mari did it. Why she chose to end her life so suddenly, on the evening of the grand recital everyone has looked forward to. It is painful, in a way few scenes ever manage to be. It looms over the group even as they visit the treehouse. Sunny picks up the final photo missing, the one with the key on the back. Don't forget, it's in the toy box. They put together the photo album to look through it one more time, and in a moment of grief, Aubrey places a pinwheel on the tree stump where Mari died. She apologizes for blaming the others, for drowning in her anger and for treating Basil so badly. When she looked into his photo album, he had blacked out all the pictures with marker. That was why she hated him so much. Hiro pulls her and the others into an embrace, something they hadn't done in years. Now, things aren't as they were before, but they can be friends again. Aubrey also wants to apologize to Basil. The group walks over to his house in the evening. Basil just came home from the hospital to see his grandmother, who isn't doing well still. He refuses to answer when they knock on the door and doesn't show himself. Polly still lets the group sleep over in the living room. Sunny falls asleep and... Will you forgive me? Omori is waiting in white space, standing there silently. Sunny has been here before and hasn't done anything. Omori isn't worried, but this time is different. Sunny takes the light bulb and smashes it. Something emerges, forcing Sunny into a fight he cannot win. He can only calm down, focus, and persist whenever the dread overwhelms him. Something merges into different shapes in front of him, first into the hands, then the spider, and the tendrils from the water. But the more Sunny focuses, the more he can see. Something swaying in the wind. A figure with long black hair, strung up by their neck. Sunny has no choice but to look anyway, to overcome. Sunny appears in a colorful forest, picking up pictures spread across the floor. He meets Basil, the colorful headspace version who tells him not to avert his eyes, to accept the truth. And Sunny continues. The photo album he must fill to sort his memories is dark and red. Memories of his house blur into nightmarish scenes. He sees a red sky, lifeless people who aren't breathing, and a giant stage. The photos he picks up are out of order, but the further he comes, the more obvious the truth becomes. A tree in the garden, a face reflected in the door leading to it, Mari's motionless body, a violin at the bottom of the stairs, a jumping rope, and an argument, a mistake, a shove. Basil's attempt to hide what it was, not suicide, an accident, and it was Sunny's fault. Sunny jolts awake in the real world, in the middle of the night at Basil's house. He knows the truth now, and has to decide how to proceed. If he chooses to leave and run back to his house, to live in ignorance, he can move with his mother, as planned. Leave behind his town and his friends, along with the truth. Only Basil knows, and he will never tell. The ambulance sounding through the entire town promises as much. It is easier to do this than to face what Sunny did, whom he took away. But it also means the truth will forever follow him until the end, or until he can no longer bear it. If Sunny chooses to sleep, he will find out what happens when the weight, the guilt, becomes too much. Basil will be gone. His friends will cry in utter despair. They will never recover from this. Hero will say it's okay, but Basil said that too, and we know what happened to him. Because Basil couldn't bear it anymore. Sunny will simply forget about this too, repress all memories of this event and push it down. He will just continue like before and move houses with his mother. Or maybe he will take that knife before going to bed, and once he returns to white space and prepares to wake up, he will join Basil. His mother will only find him later, and she will know that she lost her only son, just like she lost her only daughter. But is that the only way? To either be burdened by the truth forever, or to be buried by it? Sunny can choose to be stronger than that, to face what he hid for 4 torturous years. He faces Basil. Basil is standing in his room, staring out of the window. He smiles but keeps rambling about something behind Sunny. He blames an invisible force behind Sunny for Mari's death, seemingly unable to accept the truth himself. He doesn't want Sunny to leave him now. In this despair, he spirals. Determined to destroy that non-existing monster around Sunny, he begins a fight. Sunny attempts to calm down and run, but there is no way out. He has to fight. Both he and Basil attack one another, fear and despair taking over both, and with the garden shears in his hand, Basil injures Sunny's eye. As a faint ambulance sounds, the world fades to red. Sunny walks down a foggy street resembling his home. He meets a version of Basil who apologizes and says that it is up to him now. Surely their friends will forgive them, but they must come clean. Sunny enters his home. Mari plays on the piano, giving him enough courage to finally open the toy box in the previously hidden room. It contains his broken violin, the one he threw down the stairs 4 years ago. It's tangled with Mari's hair and blood still. However, in this dream world, the violin can still be mended with happy memories of the past. Mari's cookies during a card game in the treehouse, a day at the beach eating watermelons, a picnic at the lake, jumping puddles in the rain, Basil's birthday with all of their friends, and Christmas, a very special one, where all of Sunny's friends worked together hard so that he could receive his own violin to play alongside Mari's piano. His mended violin in hand, and those beautiful memories in mind, Sunny can move forward. His friends encourage him one more time, their younger faces turning into their current ones. No matter what happens, they are here to support him and will always be friends, whatever happens. And so, Sunny climbs onto the stage and prepares to play the violin. As the first hesitant sounds come out, grief overwhelms him. Sunny collapses. He is forced into white space. Omori is already waiting. He still doesn't speak, but only readies his knife. Sunny has to fight him. Using his cherished friend's words to steady himself, he must face his own repression and self-hatred in person. It is difficult, but not impossible, to completely deplete Omori's health. But Omori did not succumb. He returns stronger. The second fight offers a bigger challenge. Still, Sunny can handle facing him with his friend's support. But the music distorts, much like Omori. He does not succumb the second time, or the third, and fourth. No, Sunny fights, but Omori will not succumb. No matter how many times Sunny beats him, he will always become stronger, and Sunny can struggle to the end, but no matter what, Omori will win. But as Sunny loses, there is one simple question. Do you want to continue? Just like Omori, Sunny too refuses to give up. He stands and lifts his violin, and instead of fighting, his choice is now to play. The piano begins the familiar melody, a once-hated song that now means so much. Sunny's violin joins it as he remembers everything. his first steps with Mari, their childhood, the moment they met their friends, how Mari saved him and was always by his side, until she wasn't. But one last time Sunny can play with her, play the recital they never managed to attend, and as the piano fades away, the violin plays the last shaky note. Omori drops his knife. Sunny falls into his arms just before. Omori disappears, returns to him. Sunny bows to end his performance and steps out. He wakes in a hospital, bandages around his head and eye, and for the first time in so long, Sunny cries. All that grief he pushed down for so long comes out, and he allows himself to feel again. He is alone in his room. Many plants sit around him, many sent by his friends, others by neighbors he helped. So many people wish for Sunny to get better and wait for his return. Sunny walks through the empty hospital corridors. Glimpses of his friends from Headspace appear, but they bid their farewell and disappear through a door Sunny cannot enter. He instead chooses the real world. His friends surround Basil on his bed. They turn to Sunny as he enters. And, with his hoarse and weak voice having been silent for 4 years, Sunny speaks. I have to tell you something. We do not hear what the others say about the truth. Just like Sunny, we have to hope that their friendship is strong enough for it to bear this. And just like Sunny, we have seen enough of Kel, Aubrey, and Hero to know that it is. If we manage to honor our dearest best friend, if we watered all his plants for as long as necessary, Basil will look at Sunny, and Sunny will give a smile in return. For the first time in 4 years, his apathy will fade, along with something behind his back. He has forgiven himself and Basil. Basil returns the smile, but the dark shadows around him retract too. Good morning, deranged maniac. I hope you enjoyed your dream. Was it fun? It must have been. To get lost in a fake world of fantasy and joy. Do you feel guilty at least for receiving such a happy dream when you are such worthless scum? After what you did, you don't deserve to be happy. You know that, right? Did it show you your crimes yet? Your brutal misdeeds? Do you remember every excruciating detail of what you did? It's starting to come back, isn't it? That's why your expression is like that. You must feel guilty. Oh, how wonderful. That is the point of this, is it not? So please, writhe in agony so that this may be a success. Regret your entire life and cry because you can't go back and change anything. Look your misdeeds right into the eye and drown in your guilt. Come on. Are you ready to go back? Oh, silly you. That wasn't a question. Take it. Endroll is an RPG maker game with horror elements created by Segawa, released in 2016. In a way, this game is very similar to Omori, even when it has very different styles and narratives. Unfortunately, it never reached the same popularity. Most of its Western awareness stems from VG Person's English translation, which I am very grateful for because I wouldn't be able to play this otherwise. Like with Omori, I would say that this game is best experienced yourself, given that most of the emotional impact comes from interacting with the characters. However, spoilers do not take away from the main story as much, given that most of it becomes obvious very quickly. Similarly to Omori, a lot of trigger warnings apply. This game handles similar subjects but contains a story that doesn't have a good ending, or even the implication of one. Please handle this game with caution if you are sensitive to negativity and depression. In Endroll, the beginning is dire, but things will only get worse from here on. The worst already happened, and unlike in Omori, there's no way out. No silver lining, no group of loving friends to keep you company, because everyone you see in this game is already dead. The first thing an unnamed person tells us is that our main character is being experimented on. Karma, they call it. So long, you crazy bastard. You start in a pure white cell with only a bed, a syringe, and a screen. Even this is too good for our main character, we are told. A cheerful nurse wakes him up with the words, "Good morning, deranged maniac." She orders him to take the syringe and inject the happy dream medicine.
An experimental drug that will make our main character fall asleep and experience a wonderful dream. With no other way out, we obey. Suddenly, the TV screen morphs into a window showing a clear blue sky. The door is no longer locked and we step out, finding ourselves in a whimsy little town. An employee of the Dreamsend Guidance Inc., part of the team that sent us here, greets us. We learn that our main character's name is Russell. He's a 14-year-old boy who seems to like any emotion. The Dreamsend Guidance Inc. employee tells us to go explore and meet everyone since we are new in town. So, Russell goes around and introduces himself. We meet Tabasa, a laid-back but reliable animal caretaker who feels like a kind older brother. Gardenia, the local cook and restaurant owner, a cheerful and talkative girl who happens to be Russell's age and immediately wants to be friends. And Cantera, who seems to have wings and horns and owns a business for Eastern medicine. He's very polite, speaking like he's 60 years older than he looks to be. There are also Cody, a plant shopkeeper who means well but comes across as somewhat prickly. Her older brother, Dogma, the uptight priest of the local church who does nothing but pray and clean all day. Saxon, the elderly, he's only in his 40s but he acts like he's 80 most of the time, and dutiful but sickly mayor. And Mireille, his young maid who is very shy and not so subtly in love with her mayor. And last but not least, Yumi, the resident police lady. She seems very relaxed and jokes around, but is absolutely serious when it comes to protecting the town and its inhabitants. This is a lot, but don't worry. These are all the important characters for the story, and over the course of the next week, Russell will have enough time to get to know every single one of them. Today's task seems to be finding Gardenia's hair ornament. Tabasa says she lost it in the forest, so we have to go search for it. It is here that we notice that the optional chatting with the town's folk really does make it seem more real, because every single one will have something new to say when we talk to them while being with Tabasa. Yumi reminds us to be careful, and we leave the town. Here, we quickly find out why everyone was so worried, because we meet these ugly creatures. The game calls them monkeys, but frankly they look like freaks of nature. We also fight zoo tickets, weirdly enough, but the fights are rather easy. And during the battles, sometimes weird quotes sneak in. Annoying monkeys. Before we are given the entire story by the game, we can already figure out what happened because of this. As we pick up Gardenia's ornament, a green monster appears. It has 3 giant eyes and is called the Witnessing One. Russell and Tabasa fight. Again, weird quotes appear. We know what you did to him. We were watching, right as you... As I came in, the zookeeper was feeding the monkeys. The monkeys were screeching loudly. I had a vision of Dad. He should just die. Then I talked with the zookeeper a little. The zookeeper was really nice and secretly let me into his room. I felt like this was what having a big brother would be like. When I thought that, I got kind of sad and hit the zookeeper's head. The monster perishes, but Russell is reminded of what crimes brought him here. Why he was put into this experiment without being asked for his permission. Because he killed someone. Someone who resembles Tabasa quite a lot. Or is it Tabasa who's resembling that person? After all, this world is just a dream, a figment of Russell's mind. The two return to the town and bring Gardenia's hair ornament back to her. Today's task is finished. Russell can only return to his room, which is now leaking with blood and contains a single note. It summarizes the phrases today's fight granted us, giving us the full story of Russell's murder. Russell's diary tells us he feels no guilt though. To him, this happy dream is pointless. He doesn't even seem to be worried about dying after failing the experiment. Once he leaves the house, he comes face to face with a bloody version of Tabasa, asking why Russell took his life. He also says the monkeys were watching. They all know what Russell did. Russell awakens in the real world in his white cell. The nurse on the screen greets him with the same insulting words and explains that his real-life experiences will bleed into his happy dream, including people he met. This dream is meant to make him suffer. If he does it correctly, he might fix his twisted personality after all. Again, there's no way out. Russell injects the next dose of the medicine and returns to the nameless town. Day 2 begins with a flyer. We find out that an information store has opened in the city. All the townsfolk tell Russell to go meet the informant, but they warn us that he looks scarily like Russell. And he does. They are almost identical. The informant's only different traits are his green eyes and his constant smile. He says that he, being Russell himself, would know him best and offer the best information. From now on, he will give us advice on what to do every single day, and will also discuss any crimes revealed the day prior. We also hear that a monster has been sighted in the town at night, but we aren't able to focus on that yet. Today, Gardenia asks for our help to go buy a frying pan. The market we visit often only offers square ones though, so we ask the informant. He sends us to the tree above the market, where a compass opens up a path to an abandoned building. The enemies here keep talking about a party, a sad birthday. They look like birthday presents. Russell learns a skill called sadness here. Using it to open a present, a birthday cake attacks us. The lamenting one cries, "Gardenia, I'll give you lots of happiness, my angel. Papa loves you." And once again, Russell remembers the story of one of his murders. This time he killed a classmate of his, a girl whose only mistake was celebrating her birthday on the very same day. Russell, whose birthday was being ignored, was so jealous of her party that he pushed her off the staircase. But that girl, resembling an angel, could not fly. The Gardenia in his dream doesn't realize what Russell is thinking about. She merely picks up her frying pan and happily suggests returning home. To thank Russell, she makes him dinner. Gardenia screams, her body contorting from the fall. It hurts. Everyone is crying. How could you? How? Gardenia returns to acting like nothing happened. She happily talks about her father for a moment until Russell leaves. He returns to his bloody room. Another note appeared, summarizing how he was invited to Gardenia's party and saw how loved she was while no one cared for him. So he killed the birthday child. Happy birthday, Gardenia. Leaving the house, he sees mangled and twisted versions of Gardenia as well as popped balloons. Then he wakes up in the real world. The nurse gives more details on the experiment. She explains that the more he loves this world within the dream, the more guilt he will develop. By interacting with optional content from now on, we can decide how guilty Russell becomes. And having more guilt will affect the world around him. After injecting the medicine and leaving Russell's home in the dream, we find the first sign of his guilt and how it shapes the world. His mailbox is corroded. Popped balloons are strewn around. The others act like everything is fine though. Saxon, the mayor, calls for us. Our ID card arrived so we can finally visit other towns. This immediately comes in handy because we catch Cody breaking her brother's statue while trying to help him clean. She wants to apologize to Dogma, who has gone off to Darkover Town, so we follow him. Darkover Town seems a little gloomy but peaceful with many flowers. Dogma is busy with a funeral as we arrive, so Cody and Russell have to wait a bit. They sleep at an inn only to wake up too. The town has become overrun by monstrous plant statues. Naturally, they are enemies, along with matchboxes. I can see my body burning up with flames, they say. Dogma and the townsfolk are hiding in another room. He explains that a monster came out of the tree by the graveyard, so the group prepares to challenge it. After destroying the statues, they can pass by the vines blocking the entrance. And by the tree, a woman cries, the burying one. The church is burning, the flowers are burning, those children burn too. She attacks. She looks so much like Cody's and Dogma's mother that Cody doesn't wish to fight, but our group manages to overpower the monster, even as the entire tree catches on fire. The calamity stays unexplained, but we save the town. For now. We return home. And just when you thought that you got used to this cycle, the world has changed. The trees have grown eyes, and on the way home you meet these things. Nightmares. You cannot defeat them even if you try. They chase you, so you have to run if you want to live. Russell manages to pass the nightmare. He returns to his room and reads his diary. For the first time it changed. Russell isn't indifferent anymore. He says he's enjoying this dream. He gets to do fun things in here, so he wants to stay. But breathing suddenly feels much harder. Even so, he reads the new note. It describes how he visited the church and saw the uptight priest and his little sister there. They were kind. So kind that Russell couldn't help but return at night to see if God would listen to these devoted souls. The vines around the church burned well and the gasoline did the rest. And so, those believers could meet their God. Upon leaving his room, Russell finds a matchbox. He picks it up and appears in a burning church. He sees Cody and Dogma yell for each other as they suffocate, and that woman appears, their mother, who speaks of having to bury her children. There is no God. There is no repentance. I will continue to hate you. I will continue to hate you, she says. The fire devours them all. Russell wakes up in his bed. The nurse happily asks how his dream was. She calls Russell an idiot and reminds him that the point of this experiment is for him, being such a miserable excuse of a person, to learn what guilt is, to rehabilitate him. So he must suffer more and even more to succeed. Russell injects the syringe again. Vines have sprouted in the room now. It's not the only thing that changed in this world. The monsters have been seen more often. Yumi is patrolling every night and asks everyone to stay inside once the sun sets. Gardenia is waiting by our house, exclaiming that her father will come visit. We know that he won't, because after all, this is still a dream. Russell has the choice to tell Gardenia that her father will not come, triggering. But Gardenia returns to normal immediately. Today is not about her. It is about Cantera, who has lost the dragon compass that gives him access to Dragon's Peak, where the other Drakenkin, the Draken, live. Russell will help him search for it, though we don't have to focus on the main quest just yet. There's so much to do. Starting from day 3, this game also contains a lot of optional content. For example, you can go back to any previous story dungeon to find it in an even worse state with stronger enemies. You'll be able to teach your allies skills by defeating extra bosses here, and get additional context around their depths in the real world too. Of course, you can also level up your allies to make fights in the future easier. You can also trigger guild events, as implied by that nurse before. This includes things like making a grave for a monster you killed, to helping other people, to doing less kind things. To reach the true ending, we must gather a certain number of guild events. So, if you want Russell to succeed in this experiment, we have to examine every detail of this world. If you do so, you can visit the Catty Hideout, a realm of anthropomorphic cats that seem to like snorting catnip and have a whole catnip dealer thing going on. Here, we don't learn any story content, but gain the ability to water plants to make them spit out helpful items. Seaside Resort is also interesting. It features a sunny beach, muscular dudes and babes, a piece of kelp we can kill by calling it a turnip, and a deep sea hotel we can visit. If we fight our way through this underwater hotel, we meet these things. You and Memory Girl. A girl Russell met at an aquarium once. He didn't kill her, no. He spent the entire day with her, talking about the fish and enjoying her presence. But even she has been twisted into a monster by his memories. More importantly, there's also the Puddle Town, a grey, eerily realistic hidden realm with cheap and rundown apartments. One of them contains Chris, or at least the dream version of him. He was Russell's best friend in the real world, also coming from a troubled family. Despite that, he offers Russell to stay at their place if his mother keeps bringing home strangers, and his dad gets drunk again. Chris feels oddly realistic in this entire fantasy realm with dragons, robots, and talking caddies. But he isn't real either, so Russell can only leave him behind. And not to forget, You, a world that contains Russell's memories and most twisted thoughts. He wonders what it feels like to care for your family. In a visitation room, we can hear his aunt's voice through the window. She tells Russell that she is happy he grew up to be her sister's child, to be such human garbage. Because of this, she is able to receive so much money for his participation in the experiment. He has finally become useful to her. She doesn't care that he is still on death row. It seems not only Russell's parents were monsters. The fake Russell confesses that he wants to learn how to care about other people. And because of the rehab program, he's learning guilt. But this cannot bring anyone back, can it? And within this realm, there's also a door called Russell. It reveals a rundown apartment with beer flasks strewn around, blood on a couch where his drunk dad used to lie, and blood on the bed where his mother used to bring unfamiliar men. Russell killed them both. Then he went to the police. This game has many more dungeons and optional content, but I believe those would be the most important ones lore-wise. We return to the main plot by helping Cantera find his compass and then visiting Dragon's Peak. The Draken are very kind and proud of their community. But of course, things go wrong again as we hear that the dragon squirrel is enraged. Within the warehouse, a Jizo statue tells us a story with hints of what to do. It tells a story about a person who sincerely admired their grandfather, a great medicine maker, but over time the grandfather's age caught up to him. He turned senile and became less and less like the knowledgeable man he once was. Not being able to bear the sight, the grandchild put poison instead of medicine into their grandfather's favorite dessert. Cantera freezes as he hears the story. He stands motionlessly before Russell and then asks him, "Would you kill me?" The Jizo statue demands we comply. So Russell takes a knife and stabs Cantera. Like always, the dream resets and Cantera stands before us unharmed. But the bloody knife allows Russell to proceed and defeat the dragon of the dragon scroll. We emerge in the dark. Night has fallen and the nightmares are wandering again. The townspeople are still awake, patrolling and searching for the monster. By now, Russell's image in the gallery has morphed, revealing his guilt. It becomes only more obvious when he returns to his room. He sees his own body pierced by some thorn coming from his bed. His diary reveals that he is not enjoying the dream anymore. Everyone is kind, but the eyes on the trees are watching him. Everyone's kindness is hurting him. Russell feels like he is being crushed. A new note reveals how he killed Cantera, the owner of a medicine shop he kept visiting. The man always talked about his grandfather, but when he killed him, he lost the will to live too. So he asked Russell to end his life, and Russell complied. Leaving the room reveals the scene of Cantera's murder, how he fed his grandfather his last manju, crying as he couldn't bear the thought of doing something so cruel. Russell must kill him to proceed. Back in the real world, the nurse explains that the happy dream experiment is still in development, and that it may have side effects on Russell's body. It is only tested on death row inmates though, so it doesn't matter, right? He is going to die anyway. Russell injects the medicine again. A bloody knife has appeared in his room. Monkeys laze around outside and the fence before his house has broken down. If you visit Darkover town, you will see that the monsters have taken over. The townsfolk are dead or warped into this strange version of themselves, babbling about their oncoming death. You saved them for naught. This world is slowly morphing and will fall apart soon. Everyone here is doomed already. You knew that it was never real from the beginning, but it still hurts, so we keep doing the best we can. The mayor has collapsed. Mireille is stricken with worry, so she asks us to accompany her to the hospital to pick up some medicine. There, we are told that we need to wait for quite some time, so Mireille waits while we explore. Weird, green-eyed shadows warn us. Jealousy is a sickness. If we wish to get the medicine, we have to free the jealousies of fame, love, and wealth. Searching through the hospital, we find those. A proud, famous soccer player we chase off with a spider after his roommate complains about him. A small girl we lock in a dark storage room so that her friend will play with a former friend again. And lastly, a rich nurse whose co-worker is so jealous of her rich family and wants her to be fired. So, we exchange the liquid in a syringe she uses on a patient. It happens so quickly, but the patient collapses. They stop breathing. The rich nurse screams for help, and then she rushes to the roof. In all her guilt, she jumps. Her co-worker can only watch in horror. Oh, what a horrible thing her jealousy did. It ruined another's life, but did it help her? She still isn't wealthy after all of it. Jealousy really is a sickness. We are allowed to enter the second floor with Mireille after our names are called. The consultation room merely contains a black cat with a giant green eye for a head though. We defeat it and go to the roof, where Mireille is standing with her back turned to Russell. It only takes a shove, just like back in the real world. Russell remembers how often his father abused him and how he visited a hospital after. Even when he didn't have any money or papers, one of the nurses always took care of him. She was so kind. Once she lost the will to live and begged him to kill her, he complied. After her death, Russell found her diary. A diary full of the jealous ramblings of a mad woman who was in love with one of her patients, an older man. She was so obsessed with him, even thinking about keeping him sick so that he wouldn't leave her side. This was enough for Russell to convince himself that the nurse hadn't been kind after all. He somehow felt betrayed, seeing that she was a flawed human and not just a perfectly innocent person he had seen. The hospital around him warps. It is suddenly abandoned and Russell is alone. He finds the nurse's diary. In it, the medicine. So he returns home and brings the medicine to Saxon. Mireille is grateful, but she doesn't remember accompanying Russell. She stayed home with Saxon the entire day. Again, Russell has no choice but to return to his room. His diary finally reveals how much pain he is in. He begs to end the experiment, for everyone to hate him. But of course he has no choice and has to read another note about Mireille's death. Leaving the room, he finds himself on the hospital roof, where he once again has to push the nurse. Back in the real world, the nurse wakes him up with a cheerful tone. She explains that they performed a guilt measurement on Russell. If his guilt is too low here, the experiment will end and Russell will be killed. But if we manage to get his guilt level high enough, the nurse will be very pleased. Russell might become the first success of the Happy Dream rehabilitation program. Another injection later, Russell finds that his room now has a weird pulsating growth and blood on the walls. Yumi waits by the door, asking Russell to come to the police station as soon as he can. She has something to tell everyone. As expected, she addresses the monster that has repeatedly appeared in the town. Yumi decides that it has become too dangerous, so she wants the entire town to patrol at night so that they can exterminate the monster. Just when we are about to leave, Yumi gets a weird call. Apparently, she's received love letters and silent calls for the past week. She isn't too concerned about it though. Russell now has the choice to pick his patrol partner for the night. Any of the previous helpers are available, and who you pick here will also change your ending, so it would be best to stick to your favorite character. For me, that is Gardenia, so I asked her to be my partner. Gardenia suggests visiting the festival at the seaside resort to pass the day. There, she and Russell eat a lot, talk to other people, and forget the time. It has suddenly become dark, and so they rush home. The eyes on the trees are bloodshot by now, and just as we arrive at the path before the town, a strange creature appears.
Russell, don't you know you shouldn't be out so late? Where's that pretty police lady? Isn't she with you today? Dad will go meet her himself.
It dashes towards the town. Russell and Gardenia give chase. The path back to the town is lined with strange black goo. Yumi guards the entrance and fights this thing, whatever it is. The game calls it the Toxic One. It looks like a mix of a monster and beer flasks. Of course we attack as well. The monster is defeated, but...
Russell, why are you getting in my way? Don't make Dad angry.
The monster emits a strange beer vapor and runs off. The group gives chase. At the end of the forest, among the pools of black goo, there is a new building. A nest, perhaps. The group decides to exterminate it tomorrow, but the monster shows up again. And this time, we get bits of the story. Russell often avoided going home and wandered around town at night. When he was picked up, a blonde police lady took care of him. She didn't seem mad and even joked with him, but brought him home. This was how his father met her. Russell's father was a disgusting man, so Russell attempted to keep the lady away from him. But one day when he came home, it reeked of beer, and the woman was there. Russell's expression twists. He learns bloodlust. With this skill, we defeat the evil monster. No one else could understand it, but Russell hears his father snap at him one last time. They go home. Russell isn't feeling well. Gardenia is so worried about him, she simply sends him to sleep while she goes to inform the mayor. Russell's image has fully distorted now. He sees himself as a murderer. His diary affirms that he learned what guilt is, but he can't bring anyone back, can he? It hurts too much. He wants it all to just end. The final note, completes the entire story of Russell's last crime. When Russell came back home, he found a police lady with his father. She was cold below him. She had been strangled. And so, Russell took a beer bottle and bashed his father's head in. Then his mother's in the next room. Then Russell simply went to the police, bringing his diary to give proof of all his crimes. Why was I born? He asks himself. Russell wakes up. The nurse announces that his experiment seems to be succeeding. She asks him to keep going because if he succeeds, he will be pardoned from his execution. Isn't that wonderful? Russell picks up the syringe. His diary is missing now. Beside his bed is a basket with a gift from his closest friend, the person he chose to be with yesterday. Gardenia sent us food and a comfy blanket. The town is even more decrepit, but everyone seems excited. Today, the townsfolk will exterminate the nest left behind in the forest. Russell, of course, must take part. You can go there directly, or you can go to Seaside Town or Dragon's Peak and see that even the last towns left in this world have been corrupted. Everyone here will soon perish. This dream is falling apart and there's no way to stop it. Russell enters the nest. We can't help but notice it resembles a woman's body, intertwined with a strange man. The inside is even stranger than most other dungeons. The wallpaper looks familiar. The floor is filled with black gunk. Cradles are sitting around, much like family pictures. Your guild, just beginning to walk, is crawling towards you. Beer bottles fight us. Russell enters a long hallway. As he walks forward, he is reminded that those people he's walking around with are merely corpses. One by one, his friends drop to the floor. His memories well up. His questions of why he was alive, why his family was so broken, and what his purpose was. His parents might have deserved their deaths, but all the others? Why did he hurt them? Because their kindness was so alien to him that he couldn't bear it? Because he didn't understand it? Either way, it's no use now. Everyone is dead. And now even their dream versions are suffering because of Russell's guilt. The last room before Russell contains a cradle with a sleeping baby. Next to it, a blonde woman. She smiles and extends her arms towards Russell. Russell inches forward, almost instinctively, to fall into her arms. And before they can touch, his mother laughs. A man appears before him. His mother morphs with the man, turning into a grotesque creature dripping with black goo. The indecent one. She mocks him for ever believing she could hug Russell. Even in this dream, she isn't there for her son. Russell seems to hesitate for a moment, but he's forced to draw his weapon and fight. The monster disappears with a giggle. Even here, Russell didn't receive the hug he so desperately wanted. Russell leaves the nest, which breaks down behind him. He returns to the town. All of the people are right where they were when he left. They don't remember joining him and believe that Russell exterminated the beast alone. They are relieved and hope that things will become better. All other beings outside of the town can only speak in twisted and convoluted letters, though. Russell knows it will only get worse. He visits the informant, who praises him for having learned guilt after all. Now there's only one thing left to do: to leave this dream and return to the real world. Russell can refuse this and stay here, but we know what will happen if he chooses to do so. The informant tells him that to end the dream, Russell has to tell just one single person the truth about this world, about his crimes and their death. He returns to Russell, being part of his consciousness and nothing more. Russell would choose to speak to the person he is closest to, the person you spent the last day with, and he will confess. The screen seems to break down as the first cracks form. Gardenia laughs at him, calling it a joke. When he insists, she refuses the truth even more, until the world warps and shows the very staircase she died on. Suddenly, Gardenia understands. But even so, she calls Russell her friend and refuses when he asks her to kill him. She wants him to stay together with everyone, for them to be happy. But Russell insists. Gardenia reminds him that she treasures the time together one last time. Then she pushes him. Russell awakes in the real world. No new medicine has been supplied today. The nurse doesn't call him a deranged maniac either. She addresses him by name and congratulates him. It is time to celebrate. He proved his guilt, and so he has been spared from the death penalty. He can live a full life in this new form now. He will be able to work for the company, advertise their program, and give speeches about his sinful youth. How exciting! He merely has to wait for someone to come pick him up. Just a minute. They are all so excited for him. Russell doesn't wait for the person to open his door. He takes the empty syringe from the table and apologizes to everyone. Those past few days were the happiest of his life. He thanks them all for granting him those few days. Then he stabs his neck and collapses, just as the doctors storm in. Russell has learned what guilt is, and in response, he has killed one last person: himself. Welcome to White Space.
You have been living here as long as you can remember. Today is... Pardon me, but you seem unwell. Is everything alright? Did something happen? It was that bad? It must burden you tremendously. Here, take a seat. Breathe in and out. Don't worry about anything outside of this realm. Remember that white space will always be here if you need it. I will always be here. You don't have to leave if you don't want to. You can just stay here, no matter how long it takes, even if it never goes away. Just stay with me and wait, hoping that the worst will pass, hiding until it does. If any memory becomes too heavy, let us wrap it in more beautiful ones. You don't need to be burdened by so much. Just let me help you put it away. In a light bulb, in a toy box, at the bottom of the ocean. Wherever it needs to be, so that you forget it ever existed. What is guilt? It isn't simple to give a definition of that concept. The Cambridge Dictionary describes guilt as a feeling of worry or unhappiness that you have because you have done something wrong. I believe this encapsulates the very basics of guilt but doesn't fully apply. You can also feel guilt for doing the objectively right thing. Sometimes there is no clear good or bad and you will harm someone or something either way. Sometimes you really had no choice. At the end of the day, guilt is an emotion. Like love, hate, grief and happiness, it is something that can be described in vague strokes but will never allow a cohesive definition. It will be different for every person. The context, the emotions, the consequences. But for the sake of this conversation, let us try to choose a broader definition that might apply to most people. In his book, Ethics and the Limits of Philosophy, Bernard Williams describes it in the following way. Guilt stems from a deviation from your moral system, the failure to meet the expectations arising from it, or perhaps the inability to do so. Now, Williams spends a long time discussing the traits, limitations, and origins of this moral system, but I believe the basic description suffices. A moral system is the combination of all your moral conscious and subconscious rules or guidelines about how you and other people should act. It is based on your experiences, your upbringing and culture, and of course, your social support network. In very simple terms, it is what makes you decide what is good and desirable, and what actions are bad and should be avoided. Applying this concept to both Omori and Enroll allows for further explanation of what it truly entails. They both treat the concept of guilt rather differently, even if the games themselves share a surprising amount of similarities. A couple of examples of such similarities. Both stories uncover undesirable truths, even if the one in Omori is much more repressed than the one in Enroll. They blend fictional worlds, dreams that are influenced by the dreamer's mental state, and the real world. They feature a night and day cycle, where we switch between both worlds. They also feature an emotion-based fight system. In Omori, all main characters and enemies can use emotions to gain certain stat boosts or advantages over other users. In Enroll, Russell learns different skills named after emotions throughout the game. We also have two adolescent boys, who remain mostly silent throughout the stories, as the playable main characters, and each of them has an identical counterpart that serves as an antagonistic force, but ultimately represents a part of them. There's also the presence of Enroll's nightmares and Omori's something. The Deep Sea Hotel and the Last Resort. The many scenes in which both main characters find knives and are tasked to pick them up. The mechanics of watering flowers, and, of course, the bulbs in the titles that could very well be seen as nooses. But aside from that, the stories greatly differ in their starting points, execution and progression, and their end goal. First of all, of course, Sunny's mistake is a single accident, a slight overreaction by a 12-year-old during an argument that was made worse by a friend's involvement. His biggest crime is hiding this truth for 4 years, though it is easy to understand why he would do so, given how traumatized he is throughout the entire story. This is not comparable to Russell, who killed at least 9 people. 2 of them asked to be killed, and his father's death could be read as self-defense, given that he had just murdered Yumi when Russell found them. Still, this isn't just a singular mistake.
It is a pattern of often baseless violence against many innocent people who still had their entire lives before them. Russell is only 14 years old, but he is still a serial killer. These characters are fundamentally different, and while you are meant to sympathize with both, I think we can agree that Sonny suffered far too much for something he didn't mean to do, and that Russell is a threat to society. This gives us very interesting implications for their level of guilt as well. The starting point. Omori makes it very clear that Sonny has a loving friend group. We spend hours walking around with Kel, Hiro, and Aubrey. Basil's unyielding devotion and Mari's endless support become obvious even if they have less screen time. We keep seeing their photo album in the real and the fake world, as if to remind us just how big their part in Sonny's life is. This game is not about needing to build something new, to win anything. It is about maintaining, protecting, and healing what Sonny has had since the beginning. The fear of losing those friends of his is one of the most obvious motives throughout the game. It is not just about his guilt about killing the person he arguably loved most in his life, but also his guilt for deceiving his friends because he wished to hide this from them, because he was too scared to lose them. Sonny clings to something he already had, something that was ripped away from him because of his own actions. When Sonny hurt Mari, he didn't just hurt this one person who was so important to him. He also shattered his family and his friend group because of a single accident. He hurt what was most important to him, the core of his social and moral system. To Sonny, this was the worst possible thing he could do. It becomes obvious in his final fight with Omori, the personification of his deepest thoughts. Here are some things Omori tells him, and us, directly. Your friends will never forgive you. They'll abandon you like you did to them, and that's what you deserve. How long are you going to let people take care of you? You say that you care, but you're a liar. You've never done anything for anyone else. You're useless, less than useless. You're sick. Your friends are wrong about you. The person they love isn't you at all. You let them believe in a lie to protect yourself. You're nothing but a liar, and when they see the truth, they'll hate you as much as you hate yourself. It would be better to just die. Sonny already resents himself. It is why his own self speaks to him like this. But there's one thing that would be worse than being hated by himself: to be hated by those he loves. He cares about these friends so much that he would be more willing to die than to reveal the truth and face even the option of rejection. He doesn't want to disappoint them. Sonny's moral system is focused on the secure and warm social circle he grew up with, his peaceful town, his small family, his loving friends. And therefore, his priority, the basis for most of his actions even before the story, are to do everything to protect this group and keep it intact. It was why he helped build the treehouse despite not wanting to do so. It was why he kept playing the violin and practiced despite being pushed to his limit and starting to hate it, because he would do anything for his friends. And on the other side, the greatest sin Sonny could commit in this moral system is to hurt those he loves. And he did. You killed Mari. She loved you, and you killed her. Hiro loved her, and you killed her. Aubrey loved her, and you killed her. Kel loved her, and you killed her. Basil loved her, and you killed her. You loved her, and you killed her. This is where Sonny's guilt comes from. On the polar opposite, Russell begins his story having no moral system. Due to his broken upbringing, he isn't used to any affection or rules and is mostly ignored by the people who should raise and guide him. His father is an abusive alcoholic. His mother is busy taking strangers to her bed. Pictures throughout the story imply that he was once close to his grandmother, but she doesn't even appear as a memory, so I would assume she died when he was young. The only family member we actually speak to during the story is Russell's aunt. She calls him a garbage human being and explains that she deemed him useless, but is grateful that he is now being experimented on. She receives a lot of money for this, but cannot even be decent enough to at least hide the fact that she couldn't care less about Russell. His family, being violent, addicted, and indifferent, leaves Russell to question how it feels to even care for a family numerous times. It seems the only pleasant companion in his life is Chris, his classmate and friend. Though Chris is also from a less than happy family, and alludes to his mother having an affair and struggling with money. Chris is a good friend, even offering to let Russell stay in his apartment if his parents hurt him again, but it doesn't seem to be enough. Russell shows sociopathic tendencies. He struggles with kindness, and whenever someone offers him any kindness at all, he snaps at the slightest provocation. Often the provocation being something fairly harmless that caused negative feelings in Russell. He killed Tabasa while being annoyed with the screeching monkeys, pushed Gardenia down the stairs for being jealous of the attention she received, and sets the church on fire because he feels threatened by how kind Dogma and Cody are to one another and others. Cantera and Mireille offer Russell kindness but eventually asked him to kill them, taking advantage of a deeply traumatized child instead of dealing with their own mental issues. Russell sees no error in following their requests, and does so. The first instance of his ability to feel regret is implied with Yumi, the police lady who kept bringing Russell home. She's the only person in his dream he didn't directly kill. His father did, but Russell blames himself for allowing them to meet and therefore also Yumi's death. At this point, before the story starts, Russell has no moral system. It is why he doesn't feel guilt upon committing violent and traitorous acts. He only develops the feelings of guilt once he is trapped in the happy dream and first experiences a healthy social support system that teaches him what is desirable and what is not. The exploration of guilt. These fundamentally different starting points also lead to very different developments in storytelling during the games. A big part of Omori's story plays in Headspace. This world is implied to be a mix of Sunny's dreams and imagination. His escapism and desire to avoid the real world make him dive even deeper into this realm, where he even replaces himself with a different character distinct from his real self. After all, he hates himself. You could argue that the implication of supernatural elements exists throughout the story. For example, some beings in Headspace seem a little too aware of what is going on, and the Mari speaking to us often seems to be somehow related to the real one. However, most of Headspace and the horror elements in this game seem to be metaphors for Sunny's trauma and escapism more than anything else. Something is a representation of Mari's eye, staring at Sunny from behind her hair after they hung her. White space is not a real place. It is the concept of surviving in isolation after trauma without truly living. Omori is not a person or a second personality. He's the personification of Sunny's repression and self-hatred, something that keeps him from the truth. Most of Headspace serves as a way for Sunny to distract himself while he spends 4 years in his house, not speaking or ever leaving. Here he can spend time with his friends and his beloved sister in a realm frozen in time, with all of them being younger, like back before the tragedy. Nothing ever changes. The safety of his friend group always remains, just like Mari's picnic blanket and her save point/space. All adventurers, enemies and NPCs are only here to keep Sunny busy so that his mind won't start to wander and let him realize the truth. But the truth, somehow, always seems to sneak in. Something appears as a censored version of what Sonny saw that night. His version of Mari and Basil start seeking the truth, or nooses and coffins bleed into his dreams. This is typically countered by Sunny's repression as well. Whenever Basil attempts to speak about Mari, Sunny is thrown back to white space. When Basil eventually disappears, his loss is treated like another adventure to give Sunny something to do. And in the end, when the group comes too close to the truth in the deep well, the deeper parts of his psyche, Sunny tries to forget Basil too. It is directly stated that the cycle has occurred numerous times already, that Sunny attempted to uncover the truth but was thrown back to the start. It is possible to let Sunny remain in this cycle by choosing the Omori/Hikikomori route, by simply refusing to open the door for Kel. By opening the door and spending time with his old friends though, we can give Sunny the motivation and strength to face reality. He can see that there is still something worth fighting for, that even though they lost Mari, his friends are still here and they love him. And among them, Basil needs his help. It isn't easy. The repression seems to be so strong that Sunny even believes to be talking to Mari in the real world when he hears her voice at night. When he attacks Aubrey with a real knife, we realize that he has lived in Headspace for so long that he has forgotten that attacking people with a knife is not okay. But if the player chooses to interact with everyone and save Basil, Sunny can have a good time in Faraway Town. Facing the grief and the deep wounds Mari's death left on everyone is difficult, but still, his friends will do all they can to be by each other's side. Some found new friends, but will still return for their old ones. Sunny can also make new connections, helping in the town and getting to know former strangers. He'll make plans for the summer. It all seems to point in one obvious direction, that there is joy to be had in life, even after loss. That there are old and new friends who will be by your side when it gets hard, and that the most important part is staying together through everything. There are different endings, but I believe the true ending is very obvious and mostly aligned with this main message. End roll is a little different. I'm not sure it's meant to be a motivational message. This game firmly has no supernatural elements. Everything Russell experiences in his happy dream is induced by a medicine with the same name. He is essentially being put into this hallucinating/dreaming state to force him to interact with his deeper thoughts and the images of his victims. Other people are able to enter this dream with some unknown technology, but other than that, he only faces his own consciousness. The game points out that the people around Russell resemble the people he killed, but he cannot actually tell how accurate their depictions are. He didn't know any of them well enough to form a coherent picture, so the dream creates characters based on what Russell guesses they might have been like. The happy dream, along with the residents in it, is designed to emulate a peaceful realm full of fun activities. Everyone is incredibly kind to Russell. There seems to be no conflict between anyone here, at least no deeper one, before the monsters attacked. Quests are just busy work to make Russell spend time with other people and get closer to them. The more he explores, the more he will grow to love this world, and the more he understands that none of this is real, because the people he grows fond of have already died a long time ago. No matter what he does, it will not bring them back. Russell is aware of this throughout the entire story, being very conscious of his crimes and the consequences. He seems to believe he will fail the experiment because he can't feel guilt, and that he will be executed afterwards. Russell feels no unease about this. In general, Russell doesn't seem very attached to his life and repeatedly wonders why he was born at all. When talking to the residents, the player can choose to be kind and helpful, but most text choices also allow you to exhibit absolute indifference to everyone's problems. I presume these are more akin to Russell's typical behavior. He has never cared for anyone else, so he doesn't know how to. From day one, his memories of the real world and his crimes bleed into every part of the dream. Enemies aren't cute background decoration for an adventure. They are ugly and distorted versions of objects, animals, or concepts reminding Russell of his crimes. Monkeys that were present during his murder, unopened birthday presents from Gardenia's party, matchboxes relating to his arson, and so on. Most notably, the main bosses represent a facet of every person Russell killed. This is why his father ends up being the toxic one, a melted and ugly flask-like creature that smells like beer, while his mother, the indecent one, is a morphed version of his loveless mother and one of the many strangers she repeatedly slept with even in her son's presence. There are areas alluding to drug use, animal death, and funeral processions. Most of them refer to events Russell experienced in his life. In this case, that one time his friend handed him some drugs to try, the day his pet bunny died, and his general fascination with the concept of death. Throughout the game, Russell shows negative reactions to those unpleasant events. At least he seems to feel unease or disgust when being reminded of his crimes directly. He keeps interacting with everyone. He knows that it feels weird to be treated with such kindness. But then his indifference fades once you interact with a few guilt events. Usually, these are situations that remind Russell of the fact that he is a murderer and how much other people suffered because of him. For example, you can make a grave for a monster you killed and learn the ability Consolation. Or you can help Tabasa heal an injured horse, even though it happens to be very ugly. On the other hand, you can also meet a sentient piece of kelp whose partner begs you not to stress him out, because he seems to be close to losing his will to live. He keeps rambling on about being mistaken for a piece of turnip, and reiterates that he's obviously kelp. You can then greet him with the glorious words, "Hello, Mr. Turnip," and cause him to die on the spot. His partner doesn't handle it well. Yeah, one of these is not like the others. But the more guilt events Russell gathers, the more he seems to understand the feeling. He complains about having trouble breathing and feeling like he's suffocating. By the end, he begs for the experiment to end quickly because he is at his limit. It seems that being confronted by both the good and the bad, and learning to live in a generally loving situation, finally gave Russell a moral system. An understanding of what he did wrong. An understanding of what he ruined. Of what he might have had in a different life. This is when the experiment is deemed a success. But meanwhile, his dream is breaking down. Different towns are overrun by monsters. Russell is as shocked as you are when you see that everyone you saved the day prior has died after. The trees grow eyes, watching his every movement. Russell feels judged and can't enjoy the dream anymore. He feels guilty for his crimes, but also for making the people around him suffer, even though he knows that they aren't real. By the final day, Russell is told that he has been successfully rehabilitated, that he will be pardoned and that he can form a new life, be celebrated as a success. But he can only do this while living with the knowledge that he has killed 9 people, that they are dead while he gets to keep on living, and that he will never get to meet any of them again. Good morning, deranged maniac! I hope your stomach is already churning. Do you feel pit forming as the gravity of your sins becomes clear to you? I hope it's agonizing. This is what this experiment is for, silly. You have to suffer so that you too can be rehabilitated. How wonderful! You are on the right path. If you do well, you might even be pardoned and be permitted to live, despite being such a useless parasite on the society. Isn't that great? The Happy Dream program was a success. If you put in a little more effort, your regret will break you and twist you into a better version of yourself. One that can go back into this world and help spread our beautiful program. You will be reborn by our hand. What do you mean? That is not how forgiveness works? What do you know? After what you did, you don't deserve to be happy. It's impossible to talk about Omori or Enroll and their depictions of guilt without going deeper into the endings of these stories. For Omori, the good ending is pretty universally praised. Enroll's is more divisive, given that what would be the bad ending in any other game is the true one. They couldn't be more different, but they mirror the themes of forgiveness and redemption well. Both our main characters carry a crushing amount of guilt by the end. They cannot take back their mistakes, no matter how much they might wish to do so. They must face the real world nonetheless. The endings differ because these characters and their surroundings couldn't treat the concept of guilt more differently. I understand why people wouldn't enjoy Enroll's ending. Everyone you have grown to care about during the game is dead, and Russell, whose deepest childhood trauma and broken home you have witnessed, ends his life as soon as he hears that he will be pardoned. This is not a happy ending. It couldn't be further from it. But that doesn't mean that the creator made a mistake. I have seen some people misinterpret the ending. I don't believe the game implies that Russell should end his life, that there is no other way, that if you have done something wrong you should throw your life away. I previously said this, but I don't think Enroll is meant to be a message to anyone struggling with mental health or guilt. It is more so meant to criticize how those suffering from mental health problems and troubled homes, and those looking for rehabilitation, are treated. Throughout the game, we see how Russell is being abused by his parents and how this, inevitably, led to him becoming violent. This is never considered by anyone when speaking about his crimes. Of course, serial killing is a rather serious crime that most people will not be able to relate to, I hope, but you can't help but notice the implications. Many children from violent households end up with trauma, or in the worst case, with violent or criminal intent. Often this is ignored, after they start lashing out, but also before that. In Puddle Town, there are countless square-faced characters that constantly say that they are watching, but feigning ignorance. This might imply that the adults around Russell did realize what kind of home life he had, but took no actions to help him. The only one who does offer help is Chris, who is a child as well. At some point, other people did show kindness to Russell, but it might have been too late by then. Despite only being 14 years old, Russell is put on death row. There didn't seem to be any intention of medicating him or offering therapy in a more grounded way. He's not even asked whether he wishes to take part in the experimental Happy Dream program. He's forced to do so, and his aunt is paid for it, despite clearly showing what a horrible human being she is by mocking Russell to his face about it. This woman, along with his entire family, has failed him, yet she can benefit from his suffering. Likewise, the system Russell is in couldn't care less about his rehabilitation. In this case, this applies to the company supplying the Happy Dream medicine and the government, which has chosen to let them experiment on death row inmates. From what we know about these actors, what they care about is the success of the program, the experiment they can presumably monetize. The employees make this clear to Russell over and over. They aren't just indifferent or maybe cautious though. They are outright mocking him and insulting him to his face. It was never about guiding a traumatized young boy to a better future. This boy did not even have a name to them, an identity. When Russell dies in the bad ending, his name is simply crossed out, and another of the many criminals will take his place. Russell is only 14 years old, but it is very obvious that no one sees him as a deeply troubled, but still human, individual. He's merely a criminal to them, a disposable lab rat. During the experiment, he received no psychological support. No attempts were made to help him adapt to the new therapy being tested on him. We never see him speak to a therapist or even a doctor once, even though the rehabilitation after such a heavy crime clearly demands long-term support. He is instead isolated in a small, completely white room without any means of entertainment. They couldn't even afford to send trained medical personnel to inject his drug and make him do it himself. Merely the nurse on the screen interacts with him, and she keeps calling him a deranged maniac first thing in the morning. It is glaringly obvious that she looks down on Russell, calling him human garbage and the like. I also read some reviews of the game that react to this language with annoyance, deeming it a cheap attempt at dark comedy. And there is a certain bitter humor to it, knowing that the very people happily telling Russell that they want him to get better also constantly insult him. But I do think that this is the point of the game. Everyone in this game claims that they want Russell to succeed and become a better part of society, but they still treat him horribly. The nurse even repeatedly wishes for him to suffer. The first and only time she addresses him by name instead of insulting him happens on the last day, when Russell succeeded at the experiment and she says he is rehabilitated and that he can now give speeches about the experiment and juvenile delinquency. It seems she's already intending to use him as advertising for the company, rather than letting him access the mental support he needs. We know Russell isn't truly rehabilitated or mentally stable, clearly because he kills himself at the first opportunity. But it seems like the entire company did not realize the damage they would do to his psyche by forcing him to face such traumatizing content on his own in isolation. You would think that teaching someone without emotions how to feel guilt after they already committed serial murder would be seen as a delicate and sensitive process, but it is treated like a week of this new and previously not tested medication can fix a lifetime of trauma instantly. This is obviously more than careless, and the company seems to be partly aware of that too, because they assume Russell might die from the very beginning. They do not care and instead just experiment on as many people as possible. This of course draws parallels to the treatment of suspected and actual criminals in real life. In many systems around the world, rehabilitation is thrown around like a buzzword, but few steps are actually taken to encourage such a thing. Especially in regard to mental health, there's little support for troubled individuals, including minors. The entire story of Enroll seems more like a cautionary tale to me. A narrative about a boy from an abusive household who has never had the chance to be a good person. When he does start to learn, he's left alone and is treated with resentment instead of receiving support. Russell isn't given a chance to heal or ever find his footing because people are already taking advantage of him again. They wish to earn more money by using him as walking advertisement. From the very beginning, Russell's guilt is not treated like a sincere emotion, but an end product. He's not meant to process what happened to him and what he did to others. He's meant to suffer as much as possible so that other people can be content with the result. And while the real world treats him like this, the only world Russell has ever associated with love and kindness was ripped away from him. He was taught to love this dream and all the people in it, and then it fell apart before his eyes. He will never be able to return. To Russell, who has experienced nothing but cruelty in the real world, it might seem like he lost his last chance to be happy. And even if he did have a chance to be happy, does he deserve it? After all, he is a deranged maniac, a piece of human garbage who doesn't deserve anything. It's what everyone told him. How could he question them when all he knows about guilt and forgiveness comes from people who look down on him? This was the only possible ending for someone like him. Omori represents the opposite. At least to me, it seems to be a celebration of friendship and a world outside of isolation, of all those little moments with the people you love most, of grieving and moving on at the same time, of forgiving yourself and others. Omori features endings with self-harm, but these are the bad endings. One is reached by giving in to Omori, who stands in for Sunny's darkest thoughts and tells him that he deserves to die for what he has done. The neutral endings are reached by letting Basil hurt himself or walking off without facing the issue. These endings imply that Sunny will move away but forever be haunted by something, the personification of his guilt. The game makes it very clear that these options are the bad ones. Throughout the story, we are constantly reminded that friends should stick together and that each of them deserves help. That everyone can make mistakes, but that it is important to forgive them. Leaving Basil behind, continuing to lie, or giving up on the beauty of life entirely is not the solution. The true ending is reached by facing Omori. You cannot defeat him, because just like depression or that little voice in your head that says that everything is meaningless, you can't just snap your grief away. It will stay, it will not succumb. But you don't have to play its game. Instead of fighting, wielding a knife or a weapon, Sunny draws the violin. He mends it by revisiting the most beautiful memories with his friends and then plays Mari's favorite song. She is gone now, and words cannot describe how much that hurts. But she was there, and she loved him, and he loved her. And there are more people waiting for Sunny. So many people who want him to return and see him again. This game doesn't lie or pretend that it's simple. In Headspace, everything is perfect. Problems are easily solved with a battle, by defeating enemies, leveling up, and being victorious. The real world isn't like that. Faraway Town is beautiful, but not perfect. We see a graveyard full of the names of those we lost. We see awful people at church who mock troubled children instead of helping. We also know that our group's friendship fell apart for years, that Basil was bullied and his parents aren't there for him, that Aubrey's father left and her mother is neglecting her, and that Mari won't miraculously return to life. But despite all of that, it's still worth it. Sunny made a mistake and he suffered for it. Both he and Basil will never forget, nor will they ever be able to return to living as they did before the incident. But they deserve to keep going. If they are ever meant to enjoy their lives again, they have to face their guilt and forgive themselves. In Omori, guilt isn't the end goal. It's something you have to process and move past. And in Omori, it's also something you need help with. Something you cannot handle in isolation. Other people can't make you forgive yourself, but they can be there for you and light up the darker times, build you up when you are down, and they can remind you that the little voice in your head isn't always right. It's not the main focus of Omori, but to me, there's no doubt that Kel, Aubrey, and Hiro will forgive Sunny and Basil. Maybe they will need time to process it, but they will forgive them. The game directly opposes their words of encouragement and love with Omori's self-hatred and negativity. It's their promises that allow Sunny to endure the fight inside his head, that allow him to smile at Basil after he confessed the truth. In the end, Sunny must forgive himself above everything else, but he can only do so because he had the support of these wonderful people who will always be by his side even after they find out the truth. It will be hard on all of them, but they can do it together. And just like they're all there for him, he will be by Basil's side to keep him from his darkest faults. Omori doesn't tell you everything about the ending. It doesn't have to make the story clear. The characters stand on their own after you have gotten to know them so much that they almost feel like your friends too. By all accounts, it is a success story. A story about how to handle guilt, while Endroll is a story about the downsides of how guilt is seen as the end goal and not as the mental load it truly is. Welcome to White Space. You have been living here for a long time. You haven't been here yesterday. What were you doing? Something important happened? You have to... I don't understand. It's so peaceful here. Why wouldn't you stay? What are you saying? There's nothing protecting you outside. You know what you did, and if they find out, they all... What are you doing? Don't touch that bulb. Don't. Do you not know how painful that memory is? How much it will hurt you? You don't want to leave. You don't want to leave. You don't want to. In all my years of playing video games, Omori is still, to this day, one of the most impactful stories I have ever seen. It isn't easy to write such lovable characters, to capture different reactions to grief and trauma, to handle such sensitive topics well. Somehow, this game makes you smile and feel like everything will be alright even through the tears. Endroll is a little less hopeful. The ending is so bleak that I can't guarantee most people will like it, But even so, despite being a much smaller project made by only one person, it captures certain emotions very well too. By the end, you will also grow to love Russell's dream world and hate seeing it fall apart. If you can handle the topics, I sincerely recommend both games. Omori is on Steam and is definitely worth the price. Endroll is free and the English version can be downloaded on VG Person's website. The experience of playing those games is very different from hearing the summary and the half-baked analysis of their themes. But even so, I made this video because I wanted to analyze both games very badly. The settings are both a little removed from reality. Dream-inducing drugs and adventures in Headspace are unattainable for us. Most people, I presume, deal with other subjects they feel guilty of too. In very few cases, it would be directly connected to murder. For most, it's how they treated someone they love, or maybe something they said in the wrong moment, or a mistake that caused problems later. It's very difficult to give an explanation of how you should treat guilt. Every situation is different and every person is too. I will still try in broad strokes. In small parts, guilt can be a motive to be better, to fix the damage you have done or to adjust your future actions, to ensure that mistakes aren't repeated. And it is important to question yourself on how you impact those around you. Sometimes you have to ask yourself why you acted a certain way. Did you lash out on a bad day? Were you holding back unpleasant feelings for too long? Were you immature? Would you react differently today? Or did you have no choice? Did you not have all the information? Or was there too much pressure? We all have things we would change if we could. Some bigger and some smaller ones. And some of them are more difficult to discuss than others. At the end, guilt is something that must be overcome. Maybe not fully forgotten or ignored, but overcome. It must be questioned, and you must always strive to do better, but maybe we can be a little nicer to ourselves sometimes. If someone you loved were to hate themselves for such a mistake, would you blame them? Sometimes that question alone can be helpful. Sometimes more time is needed to soothe your nerves, maybe a change of pace. But no matter what, life goes on. And if we are honest with ourselves, most mistakes can be forgiven. Not all of them. Intent matters, of course. And people who were hurt have the right to make their own decisions about you. But most sincere mistakes, misunderstandings, or accidents didn't come from malice. Focusing on them for too long will make you miss out on new relationships, joys, or hobbies. Maybe you'll make even more mistakes if you're too busy looking back to see the people standing right in front of you. So, maybe guilt isn't the end goal. Maybe it's the journey or something like that. A jumping board to become your better self. It still hurts, and that's okay. All wounds need time to heal. But with time and love, new flowers can bloom in the soil. And even then, you'll have to keep watering them, but that's worth it too. Well, at least that's what Omori teaches you, and I think it's a dang good game, so maybe there's some truth to it. If only it was that easy. This thought, this pain, won't go away. This isn't as easy as people make it seem. One decision, one victory to be rid of those bad thoughts, of that weight. You cannot will yourself to be free of guilt, cut it off like chains wrapped around your ankles. For some it never fades. It always lingers, stays behind, watches from the mirror, from the corner of your bed when you can't sleep at night. It'll be there, it'll breathe down your neck. It will sound in your head whenever you doubt yourself. But with some time, it will be lighter. And I believe, dreamer, that you are stronger than it. I cannot offer more comfort than those few words, perhaps, but I believe in you. It may not always seem that way, but I promise the future is brighter. And whenever things get worse, remember that I am here too. Maybe you won't come every day anymore, but when you do, it'll all be just like you left it. Just maybe without the light bulb.
It's time to wake up, dreamer. May you have the most wonderful morning.